a unique archaeological discovery that amazed the whole world. It has the potential to rewrite human history. To learn more about it and see the oldest buildings in the United Arab Emirates, the most ancient Buddhist temple, the Peruvian Sea Monster, and the world's oldest family tree, you should watch this video until the end. Hello, my friend. You're watching the Ketef channel. The Silver Scrolls of Ketef Hinnom. The Ketef Hinnom Archeological Excavation Site is a complex of several rock-cut burial chambers located southwest of the old city of Jerusalem on the road to Bethlehem. In 1979, archaeologists made an important discovery at this site. They found 2 silver plates rolled up like scrolls. They had inscriptions in ancient Hebrew. These scrolls are believed to have been used as amulets and date back to the 7th century BCE. The texts on these amulets. The amulets feature the oldest surviving Torah quotes. The Acambaro figurines are an archaeological find that still causes a lot of controversy in the scientific world to this day. Some researchers claim that the collection is an elaborate forgery, while others are convinced of its authenticity. Today, the figurines are kept in the Acambaro Museum, attracting many tourists from various countries. The collection includes small clay figurines made in the form of animals, dinosaurs, and humans. The findings were collected by a German immigrant, Waldemar Julsrud. He claimed that he found the first artifact near a mountain located close to Acambaro. Then Julsrud discovered similar items from the local residents of the settlement and decided to buy them. The oldest structures have been found in the United Arab Emirates. Archaeologists discovered ruins in the United Arab Emirates that are 500 years older than previously known structures, continuing to add new chapters to the history of the United Arab Emirates. On Gaga Island, located west of the city of Abu Dhabi, scientists found stone structures and artifacts created 8,500 years ago. The previous record for the earliest structures in the UAE belonged to the ruins on Marawa Island, and they are 500 years younger. Here, in layers dating back 5,800 to 5,600 years, a pearl was found, which indicates an established practice of trade and exchange. Based on these and a number of other discoveries, it was believed that the first settlements in this area were established during the Neolithic period with the development of maritime trade routes. An 8,500-year-old structure shows people lived here even earlier. Abu Dhabi's islands were a fertile coast, and trade with distant countries increased their prosperity. The discovered buildings are simple round stone rooms, though their full height is unknown. Stones remain up to about a meter high. People live there year-round, as shown by many amulets. Their full height has not been determined. Stones laid to a height of about a meter have survived to this day. People live there year-round. This is evidenced by numerous artifacts, including skillfully crafted stone arrowheads that were used for hunting. The inhabitants also enjoyed the rich gifts of the sea. How long this settlement existed has not yet been determined, but even after it was abandoned, it was not forgotten. Almost 5,000 years ago, a person was buried in the ruins. This is one of the few burials from this period known on the Abu Dhabi Islands, Mangazeya. That was the name of the first Russian Arctic city of the 17th century. It appeared in 1607 on the Taz River in Siberia. It was established primarily to exercise government control over the Mangazeya sea route, which connected the White Sea and the Ob region. Through Mangazeya, flour, bread, salt, and other goods were brought to Siberia, while a huge amount of furs was exported. The city was wealthy, and its riches even became the stuff of legends, with Mangazeya being called a city overflowing with gold. Unfortunately, the city lasted less than a century, and its inhabitants left Mangazeya. The main reason for this was the overall change in the routes of Siberian colonization, as well as the depletion of local fur resources. Mangazeya ceased to interest its townspeople, but not for archaeologists. The first excavations in these places were carried out in 1862 by Kushelevsky. Excavations revealed Mangazeya had the typical ancient Russian city divisions: the city, Kremlin, and Posad. The Madaba Map. The Madaba Map is the oldest surviving map of the Holy Land, especially Jerusalem, and is part of the mosaic floor of the Byzantine Church of St. George in Madaba, Jordan. The map was discovered during renovations in the church in 1884 and dates back to somewhere between 560 and 565 AD, although originally the map depicted much of the Middle East, from southern Syria to central Egypt. Most of the mosaic map had already been destroyed by the time it was first discovered. However, the part of the map depicting Jerusalem remained intact and includes an oval-shaped fortress city with 6 gates, 21 towers, and several dozen buildings and structures. Visitors to Madaba can see the map in person. A copy of the ancient map is also kept at the Archeological Institute of the University of Göttingen in Germany. Dinosaurs have an unusual feature. The first fossils of the duck-billed dinosaur, Inabia odysseus, were discovered by scientists in Morocco, Africa. Inabia means foreigner in Arabic. The discovery puzzled experts because until now, such species had only been found in Europe. During the time of the dinosaurs, the 2 continents were separated by a deep ocean, so researchers wanted to find out how they ended up in Africa. The species Inabia odysseus lived at the end of the Cretaceous period, 66 million years ago. These dinosaurs fed on plants, but compared to other hadrosaurids, they were small in size, about 3 meters long. Scientists explained their surprise after the discovery in Africa. It's like finding a kangaroo in Scotland. Experts studied the teeth and jaw bones of the species and determined that it belonged to the subfamily of hadrosaurid dinosaurs called Lambeosaurinae. Scientists believe they had elaborate bony crests on their heads. At first, they lived in North America, then spread to Asia and Europe, but their fossils have never been found in Africa. Researchers claim that dinosaurs could not reach the continent by land. According to scientists, the animal must have gotten there by water. It is assumed that members of this species were good swimmers. They had powerful legs and tails. In addition, their remains have been found in river deposits and sea cliffs, and this suggests that they could move through water. A tooth that is 10 million years old. Scientists from Germany fear that after their discovery, the whole world will have to rewrite the history of humanity. We're talking about a tooth that was found near the German commune of Eppelsheim. Previously, researchers had only made a similar find in Ethiopia. The similarity of the teeth they found was so astonishing that they spent more than a year double-checking the dating of the remains to avoid making hasty statements. The age of the most recently discovered tooth is almost 10 million years. One of the oldest Buddhist temples in the world. The stone fragments date back to the 2nd century BC. Archaeologists from Italy discovered one of the oldest Buddhist temples in the world in the Pakistani city of Barikot. The stone wall fragments and other artifacts date back to the second half of the 2nd century BC. Italian specialists have been working in the Gandhara region since 1955. However, major discoveries have only been made now. The city of Barikot, where Italian scientists are working today, is mentioned in Greek and Latin texts as Bazira or Vajrasthana. This is one of the cities besieged by Alexander the Great. This place played an important role in managing all the agricultural lands of the Swat Valley, which, due to its microclimate, allows for harvesting grain or rice twice a year. For Alexander the Great, Barikot became a kind of granary, which he used before continuing his campaign into India. Italian scientists found out that the ancient temple in Barikot had a cylindrical shape and a height of 3 meters. It was built on an apsidal podium during the reign of the Indo-Greek king Menander Menanto. At the same time, an even more ancient structure had previously stood on the site where the temple was built. Archaeologists also discovered fragments of an inscription on pottery written in the Koroshthi script and several coins. Scientists believe that throughout its long history, the temple in Barikot was repeatedly subjected to acts of vandalism, and it was finally abandoned at the beginning of the 3rd century AD when the lower city was destroyed by an earthquake. The Peruvian Sea Monster. Nowadays, whales are considered kind and rather harmless creatures. However, the Peruvian
и довольно безобидными созданиями.
sea monster, who roamed the waters of what is now Peru 36 million years ago, hardly fits this description. This formidable animal, which is called a sea monster, reached 17 meters in length and had razor-sharp teeth, allowing it to feed on large animals, including tuna and sharks. This discovery is remarkable because of its excellent preservation. This animal was one of the largest predators of its time. the whale's skull with rows of long, sharp teeth. It was discovered last year in the Ocukage Desert in Peru. At that time, the Peruvian Sea was warm. Thanks to such fossils, we can reconstruct the history of the Peruvian Sea. Scientists believe that the skull belonged to a Basilosaurus, a member of the aquatic cetacean family, whose descendants are whales, dolphins, and porpoises. Although the name Basilosaurus means royal lizard, the animal is not a reptile. However, according to scientists, the movements of its long body could indeed resemble those of a large snake. The predator, Okukaki, as scientists called it, used its powerful teeth to feed on tuna, sharks, and schools of sardines. The researchers explained that when Basilosaurus died, its skull likely sank to the seafloor, where it quickly fossilized. The first cetaceans, such as Basilosaurus, evolved from land animals about 55 million years ago. By the late Eocene, from 56 to 34 million years ago, cetaceans were not yet fully adapted to marine life. The Okukaki Desert is rich in fossils, which allow scientists to trace 42 million years of evolution. 70,000 years ago, humanity almost went extinct. Humans as a species were on the brink of extinction about 70,000 years ago, as shown by a recent genetic study. Scientists believe that at one point only about 2,000 people were left alive on Earth. This means that for a fairly long period of time, humans were actually an endangered species, easy prey for disease, natural disasters, and conflicts. If at that historical moment even one of those factors had worked against Homo sapiens, we simply wouldn't exist today. In addition, as a result of the same genetic experiment described in the American Journal of Human Genetics, researchers concluded that humans first left Africa at about the same time, 70,000 years ago. Unlike their closest relatives, chimpanzees, all humans have almost identical DNA. Moreover, even within a single group of chimpanzees, individual members have more differences in their DNA structure than all 6 billion people currently living on Earth. According to the BBC, scientists from Stanford University and the Russian Academy of Sciences compared 377 microsatellite markers in DNA collected from 52 regions of the Earth. As a result, a close relationship was found between two hunter-gatherer groups living in Africa south of the Sahara: the Mbuti Pygmies, living in the Congo Basin, and the Khoisan Bushmen of Botswana. Researchers believe that the Mbuti and Khoisan are representatives of the oldest branch of modern humans among all those studied. Such a small difference in the DNA of modern humans indicates that in the last 100,000 years, humans were literally on the brink of extinction, and all people living today are descendants of a small group that survived at that time. Their number probably did not exceed 2,000 individuals during the critical period. The oldest family tree in the world. Analysis of ancient DNA from one of the best preserved Neolithic tombs in the UK, which is almost 6,000 years old, shows that 27 out of 35 people buried inside belong to 5 consecutive generations of one large family. The Hazelton North Barrow in the Cotswold Hills in Western England is one of the best preserved Neolithic tombs in the UK. Inside, in the 1980s, the remains of 35 people were discovered. It is believed that all of them lived between 5,600 and 5,700 years ago, about 100 years after agriculture began in this area. A few years ago, a group of specialists extracted genetic material from these buried remains. In a recent study, scientists used this genetic data to reconstruct the various relationships between all these people. The analysis showed that most of the people buried in the grave descended from 4 women who had children with the same man. These results suggest that polygamous marriages existed in the Neolithic society of that time. Researchers consider it unlikely that this male ancestor had 4 wives, one after another. In fact, he probably had several wives at the same time. The results of this work also show that men were generally buried together with their father and brothers, which indicates patrilineal descent. In other words, those buried from later generations were connected to the first generation through their male relatives. Finally, the team identified 8 individuals who were not biological relatives of those listed in the family tree. However, 3 of them were women. Therefore, it is quite possible that they were buried with a partner, but no children. It is also possible that they had daughters, but they left the community as adults, which would explain their absence from the grave. Ancient tombs and a sarcophagus were found under Notre Dame. Several tombs and a lead sarcophagus were discovered in Notre Dame during the reconstruction of the cathedral after the 2019 fire. This was reported by The Guardian, citing the French Ministry of Culture. It is believed that the sarcophagus was made for a high-ranking official in the 1300s. Apparently, it was deformed by the weight of the earth and stones. To look inside it, a team of experts used a mini endoscopic camera. You can catch a glimpse of pieces of fabric, hair, and a pillow made of leaves under the head of the deceased. This is a well-known phenomenon when religious leaders were buried. The fact that these plant elements are still inside means that these bodies are very well preserved. In addition to the tombs, elements of painted sculptures were also discovered. They were identified as parts of the original 13th century rood screen, an architectural element separating the altar from the nave. Rate this video with a thumbs up or down. Tell your friends about it, and I will definitely reply to every nice comment. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.